Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Mintle. Hey, thanks for listening to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. Faith radio podcasts are only possible because of your support. Thanks for giving and for sharing with a friend.
Doing life together, reaching out with hope, encouraging one another, each step along the road. You and I can make everything a little better, doing life together.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Linda Mintle, the relationship doctor, and I'm here along with my co-host, the other Dr. Mintle, my husband, Norm. And every weekend we're here, we're doing life together, and we're so glad you've joined us.
You remember that? You remember the theme song from that Love Boat song?
Well, you're dating
TV show?
yourself now.
I've probably only seen reruns of it. Love is in the air, something like that. Something
Okay,
like
is that what it was?
Something like that. I don't remember.
I wasn't a real fan. I was an old. It's on that old TV network, whatever that is.
Right. Me or whatever. There are a bunch of them. Yeah. Anyway, it's that time of year now for real life.
That's true. What? Love is in the air.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's what the greeting cards tell us.
It's true. It's true.
Well, today, though, we're going to look at love from a very different perspective. We want to explore, this is going to be a shock to everybody because of who you are, the science of love.
I know. I love the science.
And I think there are going to be things people don't know about. So we're going to have a few fun facts to help your love life, folks, and discover why you're drawn to the person you love.
Okay, so let's just set the scene.
Okay.
So let's just picture this. You're sitting in a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
You're sipping your morning coffee when you glance up and you lock eyes with someone across the room.
A total stranger?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yes. He
Okay.
smiles.
Yeah.
In an instant, something shifts. You feel that spark.
Ooh.
The music playing in the background suddenly feels like a soundtrack. Your heart picks up the pace. You get that burst of energy. Your pulse quickens. Your hand gets a little warm, and there's a surge of adrenaline. You walk over. You start talking. And when he lightly touches your hand, your whole body takes notice. Boy, it sounds like a romantic novel, doesn't it?
Am I supposed to guess what movie this is?
No, it's just a scene to start what we're going to go into here on attraction.
Well, I think what we don't know, most of us don't know, is that what you've just described is a turn on for your brain. It begins firing on all cylinders.
That's right. And it happens quickly. So, Norm, when you're in the early stages where that attraction is real intense, the part we usually call being in love at the beginning of a relationship, your brain is buzzing with a powerful mix of chemicals. So scientists refer to this as the love cocktail.
The love cocktail.
You remember we did an event in a library in a town in Virginia around Valentine's Day, and we introduced the idea of the love cocktail. Do you remember that?
I do. Now that you say that, I do remember that.
So what that's about is that there are these chemicals, dopamine. Now, a lot of people have heard the word dopamine because it's the feel-good chemical.
And we talk about it from time to time.
And norepinephrine, that's another one that's in there. Those surge. They give you energy. They give you excitement. And that euphoric, I can't get enough of that person. That's coming from those chemicals in a love cocktail in your brain.
Wan Jing, have you ever had the cocktail?
She's shaking her head no. Okay.
She's giving us a funny look
Okay.
again. So it's euphoria. Everything in life is great at that moment.
Yeah, and at the same time, so interesting, serotonin, now some people know that serotonin has to do with your mood, that dips a little bit, which actually makes you think about the person more.
Why?
Well, because when your serotonin goes low like that, you get a little more obsessive. Yeah, that's what happens. So it's one of the reasons, Norm, that you feel that laser focus on a person, and you even get like a little obsessed because of the change in that serotonin level. Your brain is basically encouraging you to pursue this person, bond with them, start to rebuild or build a connection because you haven't had the connection yet. And then other areas of brain that handle motivation and attachment suddenly begin to light up.
Good grief, your whole brain's on fire.
It's on fire. That's why it feels like that, right?
Yeah. So this whole walking on air thing is just chemistry.
It is chemistry. It is.
I don't think it lasts forever, though, does it?
It does not. It only lasts for a while, and that's what people need to know.
Right. And I think that's important because people probably think, uh-oh, something's wrong. As the intensity begins to fade, I really wasn't in love. I must have just been crazy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's that early cocktail of brain chemicals naturally changes over time. So it doesn't stay at that peak level forever.
So how long do we stay crazy in love? That everything's perfect phase.
So for most people, that intense phase lasts several months. It can last up to almost 2 years. And then after that, as the relationship settles down and you feel more secure in it, the brain shifts out of that high reward state. So that's why people think, wow, I'm not having that intensity anymore. I'm not really feeling. In some ways, though, what happens is your brain is calming down, so you actually can see the person better for who they are. So here's the good news. Other hormones, like oxytocin, and you might have heard of that. It's the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is what happens when women breastfeed their children. There's a bonding hormone. That also is in the brain, and there's another one like that. Those become active, and then what happens over time is you shift away from this real high euphoria pleasure thing, and you start to shift into more of a deep bonding and an attachment phase with the person. So it's good to know that, because you're shifting gears so that what is happening in those early phases may not represent really who the person is over time.
Well, the good news there is as that spark shifts, it doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It just turns into a different level, a different type of love.
Right. And so while a lot of us would love those intense feelings to last, they don't really, they just evolve, like you're saying. And that's normal and that's healthy. So this comes out because sometimes people come in and say, I used to have this intense feeling for this person. I don't have it anymore.
Right.
And I want to say, well, that's because of the love cocktail, right?
But the good thing for our listeners is to realize you haven't fallen out of love.
Right.
You're just falling into a different kind of love.
That's right. That's right. So understanding that can really help you understand, too, that early attraction makes you love blind. You know how they say love is blind? It's because at the beginning, with all those chemicals swirling in your brain, it does not make you very good at judgment at that time. So that's why I encourage couples to take their time. Go through a holiday. See each other under stress. Meet the person's family. Because when the love cocktail then quiets down, you want someone that you genuinely still love and respect, right? And you'll have a clearer perspective of that person's strengths and weaknesses.
Do you think people might sometimes mistake what's happening in this change and think, I've fallen out of love, I'm not really in love, and then they meet someone else?
Yes.
And they have this repeat thing and maybe even go into an affair type thing?
Yeah, because that's novelty. So the brain gets that dopamine rush with novelty. And so that is one of the things. When you have people that are just kind of addicted to that novelty and that dopamine, they can be in a relationship for a period of time, things settle down, it isn't at that intensity anymore, and then they're looking for the fix, right? Just like a gambler would, or somebody with alcohol.
Or a celebrity we read about on her sixth marriage.
Yeah, it could be related to that. So something new with another person triggers that same early brain chemistry. And people do mistake that for, this must be my true love, right? All over again. But it's really just the novelty of a new relationship, and that fires up that love cocktail. So it's important to know that in any romantic relationship, that intensity is not going to last forever. That is normal. And your brain has other systems designed to build lasting, steady love if you nurture the relationship.
Okay, I don't think I could do a quiz on this, but I think I've got that dopamine is the brain's reward part.
Right. It's what gets activated to make you feel, this person is just giving me a lot of pleasure and I love the way I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, doing new things as a couple that are established and your cocktails waned, perhaps like trying a new restaurant or going on an adventure or new hobbies, re-stimulates that dopamine hit and helps keep the spark alive, right?
Yeah, and you and I have talked about that in other shows when we're trying to make love last, right? We've talked about you got to get out of the routine and the rut, because when you do those novel things, it does stimulate the brain and you start to have that really great feeling. And then we're bonding over that again in that a little bit more intensity than we used to have just by doing the same old thing every night.
So warning, Will Robinson, doing something new. I dated myself
You
again,
dated
didn't
yourself
I?
again. Nobody knows what that
No one
means.
knows that one.
That's from an old TV show called Lost in Space. I recognize
They
it.
didn't have to tell them. Now they're going to Google it and see how old it is.
It is very old.
Okay. So the point is I was going to make was be careful when you try something new like we did pickleball and then got hurt.
But it did bring a little bit of excitement to the relationship. We were doing something new together.
Right.
And going to the pickleball court and everything. It was fun.
It was. Okay,
Yeah.
cocktail hour is over. Let's move on into ways to sustain love over time. One thing you and I have talked about for many, many years is the power of touch. I remember in grad school, we got this big old thick book called Touch. And it was amazing to understand the importance of that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I think you read it first.
Yes, I
because
did.
you were in interpersonal communications or
I
something
was.
like
That's
that. And
what
then
it
I
was.
double majored in that. And that was one of the reasons, actually, Norm. That book was so interesting. It was a part of our graduate work. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I remember it.
So let's talk about touch and how it impacts love.
So it's incredibly important for romantic bonding. When you touch someone, when you hold hands, when you kiss them on the cheek, you gently rub on the back, you do that to me at night, your brain releases that chemical, oxytocin. Now remember, that's the one with bonding. That makes you feel bonded. It's actually called the cuddle hormone or the love hormone because it strengthens emotional connections.
Okay, but let's be clear. This is the non-sexual and appropriate touching.
Right.
Okay.
So, sexual touch inside a committed marriage is also valuable for intimacy, but non-sexual touch is powerful just on its own. And here's why. When that bonding hormone is released, it fosters trust in the person. It promotes a sense of closeness. It even activates a little bit of that reward system in the brain, making you feel more connected and increasing your desire to be close to that person. So, research also indicates that affectionate touch can reduce stress levels. It can make people feel safer, more supported. And that cuddle hormone, again, plays a big role in emotional security. And that's a really important thing in any intimate relationship. So these small gestures, hand on the shoulder, a hug, a snuggle on the couch, they really do strengthen a relationship over time.
So one of the languages of love must have to be touch.
That's right, it is.
All right, well, we're going to talk about more strengthening your love connections from beginning and going on forever and ever. More on the Dr. Linda Mintle Show right after this short break.
Whenever I start to sense anxiety, it feels like an old friend of mine that I don't like. Certainly when that happens, I'm asking God to come into this with me with prayer and also pick up the phone or talk to somebody. It breaks the grip.
When I am faced with unexpected situations, that is one of the big anxiety triggers.
Anxiety? Anxiety's the boogeyman. It jumps out and grabs me when I'm least expecting it. But also, like the boogeyman, it's a creation of my mind and therefore subject to the Word of God.
When I'm feeling anxious, this is what I do. I pray and I go for a walk.
Anxiety does not have to control your life because God has provided the perfect prescription. Learn how to lean on Him for your peace, your strength, and your hope with Dr. Linda Mintle's new book, Hope and Healing for Anxiety, available wherever you buy your books. Hi, welcome back to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. I'd love to remind you to check out her books and blogs at her website, drlindamintle.com. There you'll find, like I said, blogs, books, connect with her on social media, follow her on X and Instagram at that little @ drlindamintle, or on Facebook at Dr. Linda Mintle, author and speaker. And don't forget, Dr. Linda's newest book is about anxiety. It's a workbook that can help all of us better understand anxiety and how to eliminate it. It's called Hope and Healing for Anxiety, and it's linked on her website, drlindamintle.com, or online wherever you buy your books. So, Linda, anxiety and love, is there a connection?
Oh, there absolutely is. There's actually a chapter on what love does to the brain and how it helps you, again, with decreasing stress and anxiety. So when you're in love and when you're in a supportive relationship as well, both of those things, when you're not isolating yourself from other people, all of that connection, engagement with other people, all of that really helps. And so a lot of this would apply when someone is very, like an intimate friend who is somebody, when they put their hand on your shoulder or they come over and they kind of hold your hand if something's, not going well in life, it does activate a lot of those same systems. So it definitely is related.
Right.
We're bringing it into a love relationship, but a lot of these things do apply to that.
Sure.
And Norm, I've got a ton of articles on love and attraction and the love cocktails even in one of my blogs. So would really encourage people to go look at the blogs and just look at the name of the blogs, because
Right.
that would maybe be, you can find one or two that you'd be really interested in.
And the titles clearly, I think, pretty clearly
Yeah.
indicate what the topic is about. So
Yeah.
you just scan through those, you go, oh, that's interesting. And you'll find a great resource there.
Yeah, so I just encourage people, you'd have to go to my website probably to find it easily. You can find it on BeliefNet, but if you plug in BeliefNet, Dr. Linda Mintle, otherwise it's a massive site and it's really hard to find the articles.
Well, we've been talking about aspects of love and attraction that many of our listeners may not even know about, all that chemical stuff and cocktails and, oh my goodness, and science and how the brain works. What about the connection between music and love?
Yeah, there's a big connection. When you said that, I was thinking about that Rihanna song, Love on the Brain. So she even has a song called Love on the Brain. I don't think it goes into the details of what we're talking about, right? It's very different.
I think you might be careful what kind of details it gets into. I mean, who knows?
But it is interesting what love does to the brain and how it affects it. And then there's a number of other things. There are a number of other things that really do affect the way you feel toward another person too. So you're talking about music, and it's a powerful, powerful influence on our emotions and our perceptions.
And our memories.
Yes, and it can enhance romantic attraction. So just think about, I don't know, can you remember songs from when we were dating, when we were in love?
Right now.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say them on the air.
I know.
No.
We don't want to share them with anybody.
No, but everybody says that's our song. There were several that were our song.
Yeah.
In fact, we had one of them sung at our wedding.
Well, that one was a great one. That was a wonderful
If a
ballad.
picture paints a
Yeah, it was
thousand
by
words.
Brett. It was a song by Brett. Yeah, and somebody
Why
sang it.
can't
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you think about this, there was a study conducted by in Japan actually.
Okay.
That it found that when music was playing in the background during conversations between opposite sex participants.
Okay, back in
So-
your coffee shop.
Yeah, it could be like that, right? Those involved, so if they were in there and opposite sex people and just music is going, those involved rated each other more favorably than those in silent conversations. So the researchers concluded that music could make people seem more charming, friendly, and open, leading to increased attraction.
Okay, but how does music do that in the brain? What's the science part?
So it stimulates a bunch of these neurochemicals again, including those ones we've been talking about. So the cuddle one, the feel-good hormone. We've been talking about all of that, rewarding, and bonding that goes on.
Right.
So the next time you're looking to make a memorable first impression, so you really want somebody to look at you and go, something about that person, consider setting the mood with some music. It could help you forge a stronger connection with somebody you're interested in. Now, I talk about this all the time in the brain science course we have at students, and I always say these are tips for dating too. So they have to learn about the brain, but these are things that they can use. So that's a good one.
You have to pass your big exam, but the big exam of life.
Yes, this would be helpful, right?
Okay, so in terms of love, you're saying that you can boost all those feelings by playing soft music and setting a mood, and that enhances attraction. Okay, so once you have the music going, there's another pretty important way to boost attraction, right?
So this one is great. It's eye-to-eye contact, and it's very powerful. In fact, eye contact is one way to build attraction and interest. So much so that even strangers can feel attraction to each other from just making eye contact.
Sounds kind of dangerous, but it comes from an interesting study that was conducted a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I love this study. So listen to this. So researchers randomly assigned opposite sex pairs of strangers to stare into each other's eyes.
That's it.
That's it.
No
Just
talking.
don't talk. Be across from each other. Stare into each other's eyes. After 2 minutes of mutual staring. Now, when you're staring and you're not talking, it probably feels like an eternity.
Probably.
But it isn't that long. We're talking 2 minutes. The stranger couples were asked how they felt about each other. Those who gazed into each other's eyes for 2 minutes reported feeling passionate love for each other.
Stop it.
That was the study. That was the study, just staring and looking at the person.
So if you're married, we don't suggest you stare at somebody for 2 minutes.
Right. It would be good to stare at your partner, right? It would be better to do that.
I can't believe it, but they say that your eyes are the window to the soul.
That's
So
right.
what's going on here?
So again, a lot of biochemistry is going on. It turns out that when you stare lovingly, we're going to release into a person's again, and they're very, it's a very long name, Norm. I cannot say the name of that chemical. It begins with a P. It's really long, but it's the same chemical that's in chocolate.
Oh,
So you know how people say, I love chocolate? It's because it's got that same chemical that's in
I
the
wonder,
brain.
that's why so much chocolate is given at Valentine's Day.
I think that's where it may have, we don't know where it originated, but it might have.
I wonder.
It might have been about that. And so that, again, that love chemical thing that's happening that we've been talking about, the bonding and all that, it gets released as well. So just staring into another person's eyes can do that. So I had the med students, I said, if there's anybody that wants to get attracted to each other and you really want to, you're studying in a little exam room, you just, look at each other for a while and see if anything happens. I want to say another one. I don't think it's in our show content. I don't think I brought this one up, but this is a fun one too. So there was another study that showed that when you meet somebody, if you offer them a cold drink or a hot drink.
Okay.
So what I have the students do, I have them come up and meet two people, and one gives a hot coffee and one gives a cold coffee. If you grab a hot coffee from somebody, you're more attracted to them because you feel warm towards that person.
Wow.
Versus the cold coffee, which
Literally.
makes you feel, yes. So even temperature has something to do with love.
Do you think this would work in those speed dating things?
I'm wondering if they need to do that, if they just need to stare at each other for a while and don't ask a whole lot of questions, right?
Well, there was a study on speed dating.
Oh, yes. So this is a little bit different, though, I think, in this one. They studied, again, couples who were initially strangers, right? So in this study, eye contact resulted in lower feelings of uncertainty and increased self-disclosure. So the person, if you're staring, they felt a little bit, you're not
More
staring weirdly.
comfortable.
You're looking,
Yeah.
it's a good eye contact, right? They're feeling more comfortable, they're feeling less certain, and they tend to talk more. So it allows the other person to really open up and tell you things about them. I mean, maybe that's why people tell me stuff all the time, because I'm trained in looking at people when I'm talking to them as a therapist, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, don't ever sit next to her on an airplane.
True.
Because the person on the other side will be talking to her the entire flight.
I find out everything. But in this study, they found that eye contact was more powerful than asking a multitude of questions. So isn't that interesting?
All right.
This is important because as you move past this initial uncertainty in the early stages of a relationship, then asking questions help you to get to know the person, right?
Sure.
But if you want to get the interest early, you're going to really prompt more vulnerability and self-disclosure by giving the person eye contact.
Okay, more science and research. I found one that said eye contact actually helps sustain love.
That's true. There was another study done on that, and the study said that over the years, if you maintain eye contact about 75% of the time when talking to each other, you sustain love. So that really helps. Hey, that's a winning strategy to make love last, don't you think?
Yeah.
We just need to look at each other 75% of the time and we're good.
As opposed to so many times we see a couple at a restaurant
Oh, yeah.
and they're on their phone or they're not even looking at each other or talking to
I know,
each
it's
other.
sad, isn't it?
It
And
is.
even in families, they're not looking at each other. Yeah.
Okay, so far we've learned, let me summarize a few things here. A lot about science of attraction and love, but we know that Scripture is the best teacher when it comes to talking about love things. And as we close our time together, remind us of some of the most important ways to love.
Okay, so during this season of love, Norm, we're going to really focus on this. We're going to focus on loving the ones that you have in your life and loving them well. Enjoy all the fun, interesting facts that we've talked about, but put them to good use, knowing God designed your biochemistry to respond in these ways, right? But most importantly, love with the love God puts in your heart and meditate on this very familiar chapter that we all know probably from 1 Corinthians 13 because it's read a lot at weddings.
Sure.
But let's just listen to it as we close out the show.
Okay.
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, and wonderfully, love never ends. Well, that's all the time we have today. Many thanks to my co-host Norm Mintel, who makes the show a conversation, and our technical producer Wanjing Pu, and our editor Katie Sims Wilson. From all of us here at Faith Radio, hey, we'll talk to you again next weekend. In the meantime, remember, we're doing life together, and it's better when you don't have to do it alone.
Doing life together.
Hey, thanks for listening to this conversation from the Dr. Linda Mintel Show. These conversations are available because of your support. Become a supporter now at myfaithradio.com. Please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes, and share it with friends so we can live life to the fullest, walk confidently, and find healing and hope.